Which equation corresponds to the graph shown? There's really two ways to do this. First, we want to look and see what our intercepts are. So it looks like they're going by threes. If this is 6, that's 3. So this one is probably at -3, and this one looks like it's about at 4. Okay, so for method 1, we can factor. Each of these. And we're looking for the one that'll factor to -3 and +4. Well, -3 times 4 is -12, right? And -3 plus 4 is 1. Interesting.
Can't you just put it in mx plus b form?
No, because we have x squared. This is a...
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Our vertex looks to be, yeah, -12, but like maybe 1. So let's check -b/2a and see if we can get our vertex. So we'd have -7/2, which is -3.5. Or we'd have 1/2, which is 1/2. Or we'd have -5/2, which is -2.5. Or we'd have -12/2, which is -6. This is obviously, we're talking about x coordinates. It has to be this one, correct? So does that make sense? Okay. And that's just based off of our vertex right here. Okay, next, axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is that same equation. So I'm going to do -b, so negative of -12/2a. So that's 12/4, so that's 3. So my x is 3, which eliminates this one and that one. So for my y coordinate, I plug in that 3. So I get 2 times 9 minus 36 plus 6. So I get 18 minus 30. So that's -12. So I have 3, -12. So it's G. Questions on that one? Okay. All right, for my next question, coordinates of the vertex and whether it's maximum or minimum. Again, I'm going to use this same formula to find that x coordinate. So I'm going to do -b, but don't have a b, do I? So this is the same thing as that. So it's -0/2 times -2. So it's just 0. That looked like a d. No, it's 0. My x coordinate is 0. Which one does it have to be? D. But we can double check it. And if I plug in 0, I get that -8. So it works. Alrighty, for number 4, roots. Roots are zeros. So I have this one here and this one here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 and 4.
Wait, how'd you find that? Oh, because
Right? One root of the quadratic equation whose related function is graphed lines between which two consecutive integers. Okay, so we have this line. It's kind of hard to see, but it's going between these two, and this line over here looks like it's kind of going between those two. So I have 0 and 1. That's not an option. So here I have -2 and -3, so it has to be between -2 and -3. Even though it kind of looks like it's hitting right at -3 in our picture, but it's obviously not 0 and 1 because that's not an option. So that's probably like -2.99. All right. Okay, so how is the graph of x squared minus 3 related to x squared? You remember if we subtract 3 from the outside, you guys have that chart. This is how much we move up or down. And since it's negative, we're moving down. So if it's something plus, say C, we went up C. If it's this minus C, we go down C. Okay, we are looking for this value of C. So to do that, we take 1/2 of 24, which is 12, and then we square it to get 144, so A. Okay, for number 8, which step is not performed in the process of completing the square? Okay, we do add 10 to each side because we have to get that part alone. So here, we'll just complete the square so that we have an example of that too. So first we move that over, so we add 10 to both sides. Okay, so we do that. And then we take 1/2 of 12, and then we square it, and that's what we add to both sides. So we do add 36 to both sides. Then we factor this, and we get n minus 6 is equal to 46, and then to solve it, we take the square root of both sides, and we get n minus 6 is equal to the square root of plus or minus the square root of 46. So we do take the square root of both sides, so we don't factor. Now I need to see if that'll simplify, so I'm just going to do a factor tree, and it doesn't. So since it does not simplify, this right here is my final answer.
How doesn't it simplify?
46 doesn't have any perfect squares in it. It's 2 times 23, so there's nothing I can pull out. No perfect squares. If there was like a 4 in there, so 2 2s, I could pull out one of them, but it's not. At least it doesn't without a calculator. Next, we want an equivalent equation. So the first thing I can do oops, no, sorry, ignore that, don't write that. All of these will divide by 2, so I can factor out a 2. And then I can divide both sides by 2. And this won't factor, so I'll add 7 to both sides. And then I will take half of 12. And then I will square that. And then I will add that to both sides. And then I will do the complete the square part. And that matches D. Next, we need to solve this. So, I'm looking at this. I can't complete, I don't want to complete the square. I can try to factor it. Let me see if it'll factor. Well, I can do factors of negative 12 that will give me 11 are 12 and negative 1, so that will work. So I could factor this. I can say 4x squared plus 12x minus 1x minus 3 equals 0. And factor 4x, so I get x plus 3, and I can factor out a negative 1 to get x plus 3. So that's completely factored. I can set each equal to 0. And solve. So that's one way to do it. Or I can use the quadratic formula. So I get negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 11 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 4 over 2a, or sorry, 2 times 4. So that's negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 121 plus 16 times 48 over 8. So that's negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 169 over 8. And then the square root of 169, I think, is 13. Yeah, 13. So negative 11 plus 13, 2 over 8 is 1/4. And negative 11 minus 13 is negative 24 divided by 8, negative 3. So factor it or quadratic it. Now I need to solve this. If I bring the 2 over, I could complete the square, or I can use this the way it's set up and do completing the square. So I'm gonna, or sorry, I could do the quadratic or complete the square. So right now I'm gonna do complete the square, and then if anybody wants me to, I'll do quadratic.
Are you still recording?
Yeah. So y plus 4 squared is equal to 18. So y plus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 18. You see how I've got decimal answers, so I'm actually going to have to take the square root of 18. So y is negative 4 plus or minus 4.2. So y is negative 8.2 or 0.2. Let's say. Up to you how you want to do it. All right. Number 12. How many real roots does this have? Well, remember you can figure that out by using the, sorry, not negative b squared minus 4ac. So if I plug in b squared, that's negative 18 squared, minus 4 times 7 times 12. So 18 squared is 324. And this is 336. So I'm going to get negative 12. So basically I'm taking the square root of negative 12. So I have no real roots. And you have that chart that tells you if it's positive, if it's, negative, and all those things. So. Next. The equation for the nth term of the geometric sequence. Okay, so do you remember a to the n is equal to a to the 1 times r, right, to the n minus 1. So a to the n is going to be equal to negative 4. We have to figure out what that r is. Negative 4 is the first term. What do I do? To go to from negative 4 to positive 8, I multiply by 2, but what kind? Because I'm going negative to positive. Negative 2. So that's negative 2. So this is C. Is that okay? Next, which equation represents exponential growth? Well, the exponent has to be the x. None of those have an exponent. Is that missing one? Yeah, okay, J, which was okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, we have two of them that have an exponent to the x, right? For it to be growth, what I'm taking to the x has to be greater than 1. So I'm going to do 0.84 times 5, and that's going to be 4.2. And then I do 1.06 times 5, and it's going to be 5.3. Oh wait, no, I'm not. I'm lying. Don't listen to me. I mean, do listen to me, but don't listen to me just a minute ago. This part doesn't count yet, the 5, because you do an exponent before you do multiplication. Duh. So this is less than 1. This is greater than 1. So my answer is J. Yeah. I had a blonde moment. I've got this one streak right here in the front. So. More to go. 15, which equation corresponds to the graph shown? All right, in order to figure this out, first of all, we're going to plug in 0 for x and see what we get for y. Okay? So if I plug in 0 for x here for a, I get 3 to the 0 plus 1. So that's 1 plus 1, so that's 2. If I plug in for b, I get 2 times 3 to the 0 plus 1. So that's 2 times 2 plus, or sorry, 1 plus 1, so that's 4. C, I get 2 times 3 to the 0, so that's 2 times 1, so that's 2. And then D, I get basically 6 to the 0 plus 1, so that's 2. Okay, so I was able to eliminate B. That's it. Because my y-intercept here is 2. So next I'm going to try the exponent of 1. And if I plug in for a, I get 3 to the 1 plus 1, so that's 4. C would be 2 times 3 to the 1, which is 6. And D would be 6 to the 1 plus 1, so that's 7. If I come to x as 1, I come up 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to be A. So just plug in a 0 for your exponent, check a point, plug in a 1. It will never happen that your second exponent has more than one correct answer, because exponentials don't work that way.
Lorena probably did.
Okay, a weightlifter can increase the weight that she can lift according to this formula here, where x represents the number of training cycles completed. How much will she be able to deadlift after 4 training cycles? Okay, so I'm going to plug in 4. Okay, so I'm going to do 1.05 to the 4th, and that's going to give me 315 times 1.22. And my answer is 382.88, blah, blah, blah. So 383 pounds this woman can lift. A certain fast-growing bacteria increases 6% per minute. If there are 100 bacteria now, how many will there be in 12 minutes? This is that one where we use our formula, y is equal to 1 plus our rate raised to time. Well, our rate is 6%, but we have to turn that into a decimal, so it's 0.06. And our time is 12 minutes, so it's 1.06 to the 12th. So y is equal to 2.01. No. Oh, sorry. A. I forgot the A part. So that's times 100. So there's 201. That's the formula. There's an A in it. Okay. 201 bacteria. Questions on that one? Okay, next question. A city's population is about 954,000 and it is decreasing at an annual rate of 0.1%. We want to predict the population in 50 years. Now, if you remember Same formula, but instead of being plus r, it's minus r. One minus, it's 0.01%. So it's actually going to be 0.001. Because I have to move the decimal 2 places. And we've got 50 years. So it's 0.999 to the 50th. So we are going to have 907,450 people in 50 years. We're going to look for a pattern in the table to determine if it's linear, quadratic, exponential, or none. Now if it's quadratic, every time my x is increasing, like, there's going to be a square in there. Quadratics have squares. Linear, it adds the same amount each time, or there's a multiplication plus add. And then exponential, we're increasing by a factor of multiplication. Okay, so here we're increasing by 1 each time. So that doesn't really add much. But to go from a 1 to a 7, I can either say I added 6 or I multiplied by 7, right? And then to go from a 7 to 49, I didn't add 6, but I did multiply by 7. And then this is also times 7. So since I'm multiplying by 7 each time, it's exponential. Because essentially this is 7 to the 0, 7 to the 1, 7 squared, 7 to the 3rd, would be 7 to the 4th, 7 to the 5th. Okay. And for the last question, remember I said we multiplied by 7 each time, and this goes up by 1 each time? This is 7 to the 0. 7 to the 0 is 1. 7 to the 1 is 7. 7 squared is 49. 7 to the 3rd is 343. So exponential functions look like this. So that's h. Questions on either of those two since they're interrelated? No? Okay, and finally, the bonus. What is the equation of the axis of symmetry if its x-intercepts are -3 and 5? There are the x-intercepts. What do we know about the axis of symmetry? It's the same on both sides, so it's like halfway, right? So I start counting in. Here's my axis of symmetry line. X equals 1. Does that make sense? Because it's going to be halfway between the points. So you just find out what's halfway between -3 and 5? 1.